Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you? Welcome into Timeline T. I am your host, D. Sam D, aka Sanders Jr. Oh, it's Tuesday. Big NBA action last night. Huge NBA action, or at least NBA transaction action today. A lot to go over. It's been a lot of NFL, but we can all now kind of feel the transition. NFL had us with all the draft stuff, all the free agency, the quarterback contract stuff. Now that most of the dust has settled, outside of Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert getting the bag, now that the draft has came and went, might have a few free agent veteran signings, but now we can all kind of shift our attention to the National Basketball Association. Oh, Dillon Brooks had everything trended today. Ni hao, Shanghai Sharks, and everything else. Poor Dillon Brooks. Man's had that Stone Cold fit on, Stone Cold Steve Austin fit on, and nothing was ever the same. Nothing was the same for that Stone Cold Steve Austin fit. All right. Appreciate those who will be pulling up live or on the replay. Let's tap in and get with it. Did a podcast last night. It was an all NBA podcast, kind of softly previewing the second round and previewing and reviewing the first round. So that is up on the audio feeds right now. Working on the video portion that will be live here on this channel, hopefully within the next day or so. But today we continue with the trend. Dillon Brooks, he gone. He gone. And the best thing about it is that the Grizzlies couldn't even wait a week until after they get bounced about the playoffs to just go ahead and announce to the world, yeah, Dillon Brooks, we not really going to continue this relationship. So Dillon Brooks, as you see, the Memphis Grizzlies, courtesy of Shams Charania, go ahead and move this window down just a wee bit, get this sized up. Could do this thanks to the power of Ecamm Live. If you want to get a free trial of Ecamm Live, the link is in the description. The Memphis Grizzlies have informed pending free agent Dillon Brooks that he will not be brought back under any, let's go ahead and make sure we annotate correctly, under any circumstances. Good Lord. Imagine being told in front of the world, there is no scenario imaginable that we would ever consider bringing you back. You could ask for the vet minimum. We ain't down with it. You can ask for the vet minimum. We don't want to hear it. You can ask to go to the G League. We don't want to hear it. You can ask to play for free. We ain't having it. Your time in the grindhouse is done. Dillon Brooks, who called LeBron old, poked the bear, was trash talking the habitual nut hitter, aka Draymond Green for those who are unhip. Dillon Brooks just is one of those guys that gets under everybody's skin. If you're an older head that knows 90s NBA, he's kind of like a Vernon Maxwell type. Okay, just not as good. Okay, so that's kind of the problem with Dillon Brooks, is that he can talk all this trash. He can be the kind of I'm like a wing version of Rodman. I'm a guard version of Rodman, but you're not. Rodman was elite at two things. Well, three things, really. Two things: rebounding and playing defense. And then third, the mental mind games. And a lot of players have tried to dabble into the mental mind games, and very few of them have succeeded with the success of Dennis Rodman. Dillon Brooks was running around thinking he Pac. He was running around thinking he Dennis Rodman. And when it was his time to get called to task after getting killed in game after game after game, he skated on the media. But the one game where he played well and the Grizz won, he was front and center, ready for that shine. Dillon Brooks, have fun in Shanghai. They are awaiting you. He'll be a star over there. He could go over there and cook. You know, people bring up how Marbury went over there to China and was crazy. Like, there's dudes we've never heard of that are putting up 50 pieces over there. So Dillon Brooks could go over there. He could get a tremendous bag. I'm assuming he won't have to worry about no Brittany Griner nonsense happening over there where he'll be sequestered. Like, as long as he don't run around with a vape, I would assume he's okay. Like, he'll be okay once he goes over there. Because I don't see a team in the NBA, a team that is worth its salt. I don't see a team worth a damn signing him. What team would actually think, after what they saw this postseason, after what they witnessed, and say, you know what? I think Dillon Brooks could give us something. A good team, mind you. Not just a team that's willing to fill a roster spot and just thinks, hey, if we just, because again, there's reports, and if you read this story, which I implore you to do, there's quotes in it saying that he feels limited as a 3-and-D guy. He feels as though he can be better than that he's more than that. But the role that he was asked to fulfill in Memphis was that of a 3-and-D guy. Well, let's look up to see how good of a 3-and-D guy Dillon Brooks actually was, shall we? This is always fun when you see people say that there's something, and then you get to pull receipts on something, and then you're like, well, let's be clear. All right. So we have Dillon Brooks here. Let's go to his per game. Now, he said he is more than a 3-and-D guy. Now, if we just look at his numbers are not bad, right? But when we're looking at these numbers are not numbers. Let me fix the width of this window here. Stand by. I know. You're going to get mad at me. I know. Okay. Now we should be able to fit everything in there. We got blocks, and then I can scroll for points. Okay. Okay, cool. Now we're good. All right, just have to scroll. All right, so now if we're looking at this, what stands out to you? Field goal percentage, it's 40%. This is a guy that is supposed to be a 3-and-D. 3-and-D, if you're unfamiliar, is a small forward who can play defense. Hence the number 3. 3 is the connotation for a small forward, and D is D for defense, right? So that means you're supposed to be a guy that can shoot. Shooting 40% from the outside does not mean you can shoot. If it was 40% from 3, that would be a different story, but we'll get to 3-point percentage in a second. But as you can see here in the field goal percentage, he has never shot better than 44% from the floor. That is not great. That is not to be considered as, oh, he's a shooter, right? Let's get to the threes, though. Let's get to the 3-and-D. We're looking at the guy, 35% his rookie year. That's respectable, and that was above league average at the time. Oh, this website's bugging today. Get off that. Okay. So 35, 36%, we round up, 36%, cool. But again, you got to focus on the attempts. It's only 3 attempts. Let me get my little telestrator out. It's only 3 attempts per game. But still, with just 3 attempts, shooting 36%. It's not horrible. The next year, he takes less threes, but shoots a better percent. He shoots only 2 threes, limited sample size, only played 18 games off the bench, but the percentage went up, 38%. Now he starts to be a starter, right? Now he's a starter. He's getting the threes up now. 6 threes a night. He settles back in at 36%. Again, above league average, but it's not that above league average because now league average around 2019, 2020, that's when everyone started making the jump. And it went from about 33% to about 34%, heading it on 35%. So you're slightly above average from 3, okay? So right now he can start saying that 3-and-D talk, right? First 2 years, he couldn't really get that off, but now he can. The next year, same amount of threes per game, but the percentage dips a little bit, 34%, okay? 34%. Now you're league average. You're average now. You're an average three-point shooter in a league where, centers that couldn't shoot like Brook Lopez now are bombs away 40+% from three. You're 34%. Understand that. Now we get to last year. Again, small sample size because of injuries, but 5 threes a game, and he shot 31%. Okay, this is a guy that claims he's a 3-and-D. Now you're below league average. But again, small sample size, we'll cut him some slack. He was hurt. Now we get this past season, 6 threes a game. So now he's getting back up to the numbers when he was a perennial starter. He was relatively healthy. 6 threes a game, 33%. You are now again below league average from three. Make it make sense. The one thing he claims that he was only brought in to do and is mad that he was brought in to do it, he's not even doing that. 33% from three. Okay? Do we need to get to the defense? I mean, we could talk about the playoffs too. Why not? Why not? We're here. In the playoffs against the Lake Show, let me get my telestrator back. 24% from three on 7 threes a game. But you mad that they only allow you to shoot threes. Why would they allow you to shoot threes when you're only shooting 24% from three? Yet you take 7 of them. And even when you're not taking 7 threes, the other shots you're shooting, you're only 31% at that. So again, he's getting off a narrative, but does the narrative have any real backing? The answer is no. People lie on their stats all the time. And that's why a guy like Dillon Brooks, ni hao, see you in Shanghai. It's curtains for him. I will go to the defensive rating just to see if maybe the defense is something. Oh no, look at this. He claims to be a 3-and-D guy. I just broke down how little 3 there is in 3-and-D. Now we're going to take a look at the defensive rating. 113, okay? 112, 113. Matter of fact, let me get my telestrator. We not playing games. Rest in peace, John Madden. We outside. We got technology. We're going to highlight this whole damn thing. Maybe that can't. Okay, let's get the circle right. Bear with me. Let's get the circle right. Boom. Okay. 113, 112, 113, 113, 112, 114. These are not good defensive rating numbers. So he's below average from 3. He's below average in defensive rating. Yet his reasoning for why it hasn't worked out for him and why he's not happy with his role with the Memphis Grizzlies is that they're trying to make me a 3-and-D guy. That's the only thing they want me to do. What off these numbers makes you think this is what the Grizzlies wanted him to do? If someone is shooting 30% from 3, I would hope that Taylor Jenkins and that front office would say, you know what? He's just not a 3-point shooter. So let's stop putting him in positions to where he could keep shooting 30% from 3. But yet here we are trying to navigate what all this means. Let me head to the chat. Thomas, what's good? Thomas, thank you for tapping in. I appreciate you. Thomas, a team that doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah, the Grizzlies, I mean, this is problematic when you start to break down these numbers and start to see that, you know, Dillon Brooks is saying one thing, but his numbers say another. And you know what Jay-Z said. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And it's looking like Dillon Brooks is lying because he's saying that he was forced into a 3-and-D role. And when you really look at it, there's very little 3 and very little D. Pause. Thomas, you should have just kept his mouth shut. You're right. You're right. Instead of running around thinking you Stone Cold Steve Austin, instead of walking around thinking you're a LeBron stopper, you're not Tony Allen. I think Dillon Brooks thought he was going to be the next Tony Allen. Tony Allen was able to have a long career in the league by playing defense and just being that kind of gritty, guts, hardcore defender guy. And even though he never got the best of LeBron, he made LeBron work. He made a lot of wings in that era work. He made D Wade work. You know, he made guys of that caliber work. And he carved out a nice career. And he's beloved in Memphis. He's beloved also in Boston, but he's more beloved in Memphis. But I think Dillon Brooks saw that and said, all right, I'm going to carve out my career like Tony Allen. Problem is, you're not even as good defensively as Tony Allen. And in this era, you have to shoot. And you're claiming you can shoot, but there's nothing in these numbers that lets us know that you actually can shoot, whether from the field in 2-pointers or 3-pointers. Mans can't shoot. Thomas, he and Dwight go team up. Facts. I mean, the sad thing is Dwight's looking rough over there. Like, I hope Dillon Brooks calls Marbury and gets the plug for the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association. He could be the man in Shanghai. Marbury got statues out there. Marbury's Jordan out there. It's Yao Ming, then Marbury. And it's not that big of a gap. It's not the gap that you would think. Dillon Brooks could go over there and really be the man, yo. He really could. He really could go over there and just kill it. Kill it. Thomas, Tony Allen was a dog, though. No, that's facts. That's facts. Tony Allen was him. Won a chip. No, couldn't shoot. And realized he couldn't shoot, but still look at this, 13 years in the league. 13 years in the league, and he still had a better field goal percentage from 2 than Dillon Brooks. Okay, let's be clear. This guy shot 49. This is 50% from the floor he's shooting, which is better than Dillon Brooks. And you see how little threes he attempted? He only attempted 1 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is me rounding up. It's under 1 a game, but I'm rounding up to make this make sense. Like 6 times in the league, he averaged 1 3 a game. He realized, I'm not here to shoot. I can't shoot, but I can play defense. So I'm going to lock in. There was no 3 in D with Tony Allen. It was just D, pause. So this is what it's come to, unfortunately. And again, look at this defensive rating. And again, I showed you the look at my telestrator, get my John Madden on. All right, so I showed you the defensive rating for your mans. Nope, that's not going to work. Let that get off. Don't mind that. 3, 2, thank you. All right, so now 104, 106. 104, 99 defensive rating, 100, 101, 101, 100, 98 defensive rating, 101, 98, 105, and at the very end of his career, 110. So he's even better. So he's a better shooter than Dillon Brooks, and he's better at defense than Dillon Brooks. Sad. Scary hours, man. When Tony Allen is a better shooter than you, but you're running around telling people, yo, I'm more than a 3-and-D guy. Sorry, dogs. You shaky in the light. Shaky in the light. You can't get that off. You can't tell lies here. You cannot tell lies. And I think ultimately, when you look at what the Grizzlies are trying to build, I think part of this could be a little bit of a scapegoat because we know that the stuff with Ja, and I've covered that heavily on this channel. And you can go and check the archives for some of the content I've done on Ja Morant and the trials and tribulations he's faced this season, and how I think, quite honestly, they used mental health as a scapegoat for the stuff that Ja be wilding about. Ja was really running around here thinking he Pac too. Like, so Dillon Brooks, that whole team got dudes that just be running around thinking they Pac. And they've gotten rid of one in Dillon Brooks. They can't get rid of Ja. So now it's potentially addition by subtraction. He gets to walk in free agency. This team is in dire need of some vets. Dire need of some vets. When you look at the guys that they had this not that long ago, I believe 2 seasons ago, this was the youngest roster in the league. And then remember, they had the thing with Andre Iguodala where he was traded there, and once he got there, he realized, oh, these youngins ain't trying to listen to me. You know what? It's time for me to bounce. And he forced his way up out of there because the youngins weren't trying to listen. And by main youngins, you got to think Ja Morant, and probably just because he run around thinking he Pac like Ja, you got to think Dillon Brooks was in that mix. When Steven Adams tries to lay the hammer down and says, yo, we need to act more professional on the road, and then that's the time that Ja makes back-to-back appearances within the matter of hours at a private Denver strip club, that lets you know that they're not listening to these vets. Maybe now, after all the shit that he's gone through, Ja will listen to him or any other vet that they bring in this offseason. But as it stands right now, no one is listening on this roster. Desmond Bane, you see him, it's only 2 years in the league. Xavier Tillman, like, look at this roster. Like, the only dude that's put in mad years is Tyus Jones and Steven Adams. That's it. Luke Kennard, that's it. Everyone else is 3-4 years and under. Rookies up and down this roster, 1-year player, 2-year players. There's who's the one that played with Bronny? Is it Zaire Williams? One of these dudes played with Bronny. That tells you how young this roster is. So, unfortunately, this is going to be a thing where I don't think Dillon Brooks is going to be the only guy to go here. Dillon Brooks can't be the only guy. He can't be the scapegoat. There is more wrong with this team than just, oh, Dillon Brooks is a knucklehead. He run around thinking he Pac. He think he's Stone Cold. We gonna get him up out of here. It's a funny story for the timeline. The timeline's going crazy with it. And that's why, you know, the Shanghai Sharks thing that's why I put it in the title, because that was trending. That was trending on the Elon app. Anytime there's a player that, you know, people feel is trash and shouldn't be in the league, the first place we all try to send him is to the Shanghai Sharks. So the Shanghai Sharks could potentially be in the mix, and he'll get a bag. But yeah, look at this team. Thomas just sees it. That's a young team. Yeah, bro, they're hella young. When Steven Adams is the longest tenured dude in the league, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rookies on this roster. 5 rookies on this roster. And this is just the 15-man. This is the 15-man. So 5 out of your 15 are rookies. Then you have Bane and Tillman, 2-year players. Zaire Williams, who I think is the one that played with Bronny, he's coming off his rookie year. Aldama coming off his rookie year. That's 4 more guys. That's 9 out of 15 that are 2 years or under. Then you got Ja, 3rd year. Concher, who barely plays, 3rd year. Brendan Clark, 3rd year. That's 12 guys. Then you add in Triple J. You add in Dillon Brooks. You add in Tyus Jones. Like, this is how you get to that number. They got 16 people on this roster here, only 4 have played more than 5 years in the league. They're in dire need of a vet. And I don't think getting rid of Dillon Brooks is the only thing they should do, but we shall see. We shall see. So the Beard did a thing last night. The Beard turned back the clock. He made the Celtics look flabby and sick, and he stole one without what I think, or who I think will be the MVP of this league, Joel Embiid. Man, the Beard took it back. He took it back in a major way. We will look past that outfit he had walking into the arena. We're going to get down to the fact that it was buckets, and it wasn't the long range. We see the 14 threes, right? 14 threes. But that means he took a lot of middies. He took a lot of middies. Out of these 45 points and 6 dimes with 7 threes, he took and hit a lot of middies. And that, to me, was the most impressive thing. And that's what, I don't know how you get that to be able to show itself when Embiid does come back, assuming He comes back at some point in this series. But that's the Beard they need. Not just to step back, step to the side three. Like, that's cool. But the guy that can get you with the hezzy and just get into space and get to a spot, that's the Beard. That was the MVP. That was Houston Beard. And as much as, the four-letter network had their people out there and they were laughing on the Beard, laughing at the Beard, up and down, clowning him. And then he went out there and cooked. Only Max Kellerman had the Beard's back. All them dudes, all them alleged, NBA analysts, NBA reporters, they're in the locker rooms, all this and that. They're on the team charter, all that. They laughed at the notion of the Beard being able to cook up 17 of 30, 7 of 14 from 3, 50%. 6 dimes, only 3 turnovers. Only 3 turnovers. With the usage rate he had last night, only 3 turnovers. That right there is impressive. And again, this isn't against, like no weak sauce squad. These are guys that could play defense. Derek White could play defense. Marcus Smart, former depoy. Tatum and Brown could play defense. Brogdon could play defense. Tom Lord, Grant Williams. These are guys that are known to play defense. And the Beard cooked them all. Cooked them all. Do we have a shot chart? Let's see. Can we break this down? Let's see. Up shot chart. Boom. I just want the Beard. Beard shot chart. Look at this. Look at the threes he missed. So, okay. Here's where it gets fun to look at basketball. I know basketball sometimes can seem like a really oversimplified game, but if you notice a trend, so if you're Boston, how do we stop the Beard? Well, we know if he's going left, he ain't doing nothing. He's doing nothing going left, right? Let me get my little highlighter. Let me come off the screen for a second. Let me get my little highlighter mouse so y'all can see exactly what I'm pointing at. Because on that left side, he's doing next to nothing, okay? All right, cool. So y'all see this here. This space right here, he ain't doing nothing. So anytime he's dribbling with the ball here, he's not about to shoot. Okay? Mans took 28 shots or 38 shots? Mans took, did not let me see it. All right. Well, he took 38 shots, right? He took 38 shots. Hella shots. And they're all right here. None of them are here. So, if he's going to the right, he's putting that 3 up. If he's out here, that 3 is going up. Straight away, not so much. So you understand, if you are the Boston Celtics, you have to realize he's only cooking from the right. Right baseline is where he's doing all his work. Because right here, look at all these threes right in this one little area. This is all probably step backs. This is all the step backs and little side step threes. Like this is all that. But these middies, this is what Houston Beard used to do. Right here. Floaters, middies. That's when the Beard was really unstoppable. Over the last 3 to 4 years, he's just been this right here, this concentrated spot here on the right. He's been that, but all over the threes. Just threes and layups. Like that during the Steph Curry craze, during the Russell Westbrook, James Harden craze, in terms of where the analytics just got skewed all over the place. It became about threes, layups, free throws. Those are the most valuable and efficient shots in the game of basketball. Threes, layups, free throws. So players started to cater their game to that philosophy. And the Beard, who was once a lethal shooter from every space on the floor, 3-point line, top of the key, elbow, all of the above. But he started to cater his game differently towards what the analytics were saying. I don't know if he'll ever admit it, but you could go through the shot charts over his career and you can see the change, okay? This is what we were used to seeing with the Beard prior to, The only thing that's valuable in efficiency in basketball is threes, layups, and free throws. Now you're getting threes, you're getting some layups, and he did get to the free throw line for 4 free throws, but these middies, and these middies were the ones that are backbreakers. Him hitting a step back, it's old hat. Him hitting the sidestep 3, it's old hat. But him going back into the Wayback Machine and doing the hezzy, driving into the lane, pump faking, getting people up, creating space, nailing middies, that's the beard they need. If that beard continues to show up, not only does Philly have a chance in this series, Philly can win this series. Because that beard was proven to be damn near unstoppable. You pair that with Joel Embiid, who, as Thomas is saying, can't stay healthy. But when he is healthy, he is the MVP of this league. If you can have the MVP of this league, albeit hobbled, with a beard that is playing like peak Houston beard, that's a team that can come out the East. That's a team that when you have Tobias Harris chipping in, when you have Maxey chipping in, and all the other role players playing their role, but when it's the 1-2 of close to MVP level Embiid mixed in with in the Wayback Machine James Harden, now you're talking about a team, especially with Milwaukee out the way, because right now Philly, Boston have to feel whoever wins this series is coming out the East. You have to have that type of confidence. You could have still felt that way even if Milwaukee was in the playoffs, but ultimately, because Milwaukee is out as the 1 seed and he looked to be so dominant before Giannis got hurt and then he ran into Heat culture, now you have to figure, okay, whoever comes out this series will be the likely favorite over the Heat or the Knicks. So this is the battle for the Eastern Conference right here. Boston and Philly, this is the Eastern Conference Finals. If you're these two teams, whoever comes out this series most likely will represent the East in the finals. Therefore, Beard has to turn back the clock and be that guy. If he ever wants to get to a finals, this is his chance. He's still him enough with Embiid having an MVP regular season. That should be enough with no Milwaukee in the way and just having to get through Boston, where if Embiid plays, they got no answer for him. And this is why Philly has always been, a thing for me to kind of make fun of, because all these times, all these years, Philly's been so close, but they always find a way to spit the bit. Now, the path has been paved. The path for the Philadelphia 76ers, if they want to get to the finals, is paved. No one will care 20 years from now that Giannis only played in 3 games in the first round. No one will care. Just get to the finals. Finally, with this process nonsense y'all been telling us about for years, can y'all at least make the finals this time? Get past the Celtics with the MVP, take care of business against the Heat or the Knicks, and finally get to a damn finals. Thomas active in the chat. Celtics, I think, may make it back, but it's going to be tough. I mean, look, I think, Thomas, you have to put the Celtics as the favorite for game 2, right? Like, you have to think they're a favorite. You don't see them going down 0-2, right? You don't really look at a team that's as good as they've looked with the guys that they have. Here's something I was doing the podcast last night, and I was doing that live on the Elon app on Twitter. Again, the audio, if you want to listen to that, is in the podcast description, the link. I'll be putting up the video here shortly. But there was something I noticed in the box score. And again, I was doing the podcast live while the game was on, so I couldn't pay too close attention. But this is a huge shot disparity, okay? This is a problem if I am Jaylen Brown, and I've been insinuating how I might want to go to Atlanta when I'm a free agent. Jaylen Brown 10 shots. Jason Tatum, 25 shots. Now, when the Celtics are at their best, it's when both of these guys are cooking. But you cannot have such a disparity in game one to where your best player, who is Jason Tatum, he is the number one option, so he should get more shots. The problem is that it can't be this big of a gap between one guy being the number one and this guy being the number two. It cannot be this big of a disparity. 15 shot difference, yet Malcolm Brogdon running with the twos is able to come off the bench with 16 shots. Problematic. Let's go to the shot chart. Where were the shots taken? I'll live for these shots chart. The shot chart will tell you a lot if you're looking for extra information. And that's what I try to do here is like, yeah, try to give you some entertainment, but I'm also trying, I guess it's called edutainment, where it's like, let's talk sports, but differently than what these other dudes talk about. Let's not scream and yell at the top of our lungs. Let's have some real conversations about this stuff. And then also have some fun with it, because sports, it should be fun. It is fun. So Jaylen Brown, where did he get his shots? Oh, Lord, look at this shot chart. Oh, my God. Look how pitiful this shot chart is, yo. He got all his shots in the paint, 1 3 on the wing, another 3, what was this, at the end of a shot clock or something? This is way out, dog. This is plus 30 feet. And then 2 more measly threes out here. So he shot the ball well from 3. He was like a spot-up shooter. Is that what we're doing to Jaylen Brown? He's a spot-up shooter? No middies. You see that, right? No middies. And he's at the rim. This is what they want basketball to be. Threes, layups, free throws. This is a horrible shot chart. But let's see my man's Tatum, though. Now, I bet you Tatum's shot chart is all over the place. Wow, this is not great either. He missed a lot of shots in the paint, as you see. So he was being aggressive with no Embiid. So he's attacking Paul Reed in the paint. And then threes, no middies, not one middie. Why is this so clean? 25 shots, not one middie? And again, I understand the efficiency has changed. It's threes, layups, and free throws. However, if you are a top tier player, there were times over the last couple of years where people have tried to put Jason Tatum in the top 5 conversation. If you're a top 10 player, can your shot chart really be this naked from the midi? I don't understand it. I applaud him going to the rack. So if you want to tell me, hey, Sam, he just took all these shots in the paint because no Embiid. So no middies because there's no reason to take a midi because there's no Embiid. I would have to go back and rewatch the game to see if that's really what it was, or was there a concerted effort to just not take middies? If you're telling me he's driving, he could pull up for the midi, but then he realizes there's no Embiid, and then so he continues into the cup. But again, these are shots in traffic. These are shots in traffic. The midi was probably open. If you blow by your guy, pause, and you have space, and we know he's got so many moves to get himself open on the midi, on the block even. We've seen him post and get little fadeaways off. No middies? Problematic. Very, very problematic. And let's get them as a team as a whole. What can we learn? Let me go to the chat. They said Brown was supposed to be traded last year. Yeah, Brown's been on the block a lot. The KD stuff really hurt his feelings. I think there's a good chance he eventually does get moved this offseason. We've heard a lot about him in Atlanta. I'll be on with my guy Greg Larnard on ESPN Radio out there in Tennessee, out there in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio. And, you know, the Hawks fan base is huge in that area, and we are always talking about the Hawks and who's going to come. And they have a strong belief in Jaylen Brown pulling up to the A. He's from out there, so, it's a thing. Anywho, but look at this shot chart for the Celtics. Anything on the left was Brick City. They got a lot of buckets in the paint. This is almost James Harden's shot chart. Both the Beard and the Celtics got money on the right side of the court. Left side, it was Brick City. It's just weird. Why did Tatum take so many more shots than Jaylen Brown? I'm going to have to rewatch it again because I really would like a real answer there because I don't understand that. But when you're looking at this, Game 2 is a must win. I don't think the Celtics are good enough to come back from 0-2. They need Game 2 in a major way. And I think for them to get Game 2, it needs to be Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It can't be Tatum, then Brown. Can't be that. Tatum and Brown. That's the whole point of having two wings that are that good. And we could chalk it up to maybe, Jaylen having an off night, but 8 for 10 from the floor. 3 for 4 from 3. Didn't look like it. He just wasn't getting shots. Oh, do they have a usage rating? Let's see. Do they have usage rating? Because that will tell you. If Tatum's usage rate is like a 40-something, then that tells you, he just wasn't giving up the rock. 32. Oh, this is bad, bro. Look at that. Look at the drop in usage rate. 32, basically 33 usage rate. That's high, bro. To give context, Luka is like 38 usage rate. And we know how ball dominant is. So anything that's close to a 38 is like high. And for your average starter, that's like a number one option, you're looking at a 30 in terms of usage rate. From my, following this stuff the way that I do as an analyst, 30 is like your baseline as a number one option in this league. He's a 33. He's handling the ball a lot, pause. And now we got Jaylen Brown at 18. 18. So the ball was not in his hands. He was being used as a spot-up shooter. That's what that says to me. Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon had the ball more. Like, that's problematic. When you're handling the rock almost as much as Al Horford, yeah, your role is being diminished. So I don't know what that was. And you see the offensive rating and the defensive ratings, well, offensive rating was great. Defensive rating was horrible. But to have two guys who are supposed to be dominant and to see this type of disparity, this is hella problematic. Hella problematic. That's going to have to change in Game 2. You cannot have such a varying in shots and a variance in usage rate. Cannot happen. Absolutely not. So there is that. But the game that I had my eye on the most. And sometimes with these games, people will text me because they know certain teams are involved and they want to know my instant analysis. But sometimes I put on the do not disturb because I want to tap in. And the series I've been dying to tap in on ever since the powers that be, the almighty basketball gods, have allowed it for us to be is Nuggets, Suns. And it's not necessarily because I have a thing for Jokic. I'm not an anti-Jokic guy. I understand those who are. I am an anti-point fraud, the man y'all call Christopher Emmanuel Paul guy. So wherever he goes, I am to watch. And this man has found ways to defeat that are unimaginable. This man has carved out a legacy of nut punching, groin pulling, hamstring pulling, flopping, circumventing the CBA, so on, and I could keep going. So I have made it my mission to make sure wherever the point fraud, as I call him, goes, when he's eliminated, we celebrate. because I respect the game of basketball. I respect and bow down to the power of the almighty basketball gods. And I think if you're a fan of basketball and you played basketball and you know how the game is supposed to be played, not necessarily the Larry Brown style of playing game, but just understanding the do's and don'ts, whether it's on the playground, whether it's inside in the gymnasium, however you played ball. Me, I played on the blacktop outside, Southside Jamaica, Queens. Also played indoors, gymnasium. Ran with the Gauchos. Scrimmages and all that. Know people that did even higher level during that era. So, like, I know how basketball is supposed to be played. The point fraud does not play the game the right way. So when he's falling down and going boom, when he goes down in a series, when he blows 3-1 leads, when he tricks off 2-0, 2-1 leads, I am right here to applaud and give praise to the almighty basketball gods. And it happened again last night. The Suns were up 8. They were looking like they were going to crawl back into this series and still won in the high altitude of Denver. And then the basketball gods said, not so fast. And that groin got tight. And the point fraud had to leave the game. And then all of a sudden, Jokic went Jokic. And they had no answer for him. Just like they had no answer for Jamal Murray in game 1, the Suns had no answer for Nikola Jokic in game 2. And to Thomas's point, I know he was talking about Brown and Tatum, but I think it applies here. Most teams have two dominant guys, right? Two dominant superstars. And this is what the Nuggets have in terms of superstars. They have Jamal Murray and they have Nikola Jokic. I know a lot of people sleep on Jamal Murray, and he was bad last night. I'll keep it a buck with you. 0 for 9 from 3. Some of those were wide open, not all of them, but 0 for 9 from 3. But Jokic was Jokic. A 39 piece, 39 and 16 with 5 dimes, a couple threes. And he really, in the second half, and we can sort this by half, right? Yes. Second half. 26 of his 39 in the second half. He had a double-double just in the second half. They had no answers. DeAndre Ayton, where the hell you at? They had to dust off the Mac, Bismack Biyombo. They had to dust him off to see if he could do something. They had no answers. No answers for Nikola Jokic. Bruh. When you can have an off night from who I feel is their most important player, I catch a lot of heat for that, but I stand on that. The Nuggets go as Jamal Murray goes. He had an awful night. Still plus 14, though, in the plus minus, but still, horrible night shooting-wise. But Nikola Jokic's ability to come in there on 30 shots and shoot 57% on those 30 shots. And again, do we want to see his shot chart? And Jokic's shot chart is always fun for me to watch because it's a lot of top of the key stuff. And then it's all paint. It's all paint. Let's see. Did he live up to his reputation last night? Nikola Jokic. What'd I tell you? All threes at the top, and then he's living in the paint. He gave you like a couple middies just for, decency's sake. But if it ain't the top of the key 3, he's living in the paint, dog. There's no baseline stuff. There's no. I'm right at you, front of the rim. I may start here on this baseline, but I'm going to work my way to the middle and get my shot. He is so comfortable in front of the rim, just in front of the rim. How we don't know how to shade against a guy like him defensively, I have no idea. This has been pretty much his shot chart throughout the year. Anytime I've tapped in to try to figure out how is Jokic doing it, this is pretty much the facsimile of the shot chart. This is who he is. Amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me that this is what he was able to get off, and specifically in the second half. If you look at the third quarter, killing in the paint. Fourth quarter, when the game was on the line, he was straight in the paint, dog. No threes. No threes. Nice and clean out here. No threes. Easy money. Ayton, the Mac, easy money. So now, do we need to have a conversation about what this whole Kevin Durant, Devin Booker thing is supposed to look like? Is it time? Is it time to have that conversation? Because D-Book got 29 shots up. Kevin Durant's got 27 shots up. To me, that's not the issue. Kevin Durant took 12 threes. He was just brick city. Them shits just didn't fall. So on the timeline, there's been a brewing debate of, Kevin Durant needs to do more. I don't know what else you're looking for from Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is who he is. And Kevin Durant is out here and he's putting up numbers that are Kevin Durant-like. Now, this 2 for 12 is just trash. And I think he would even admit that. But it means just the shots just didn't fall. I don't feel the shots were forced. I don't feel like the shots didn't come in the flow of the offense. And the problem sometimes with being, and I could be reaching, but let's go there. Sometimes the problem with being such an easy plug-and-play player like Kevin Durant, you could literally plug and play him in any system, and he's just going to fit. The problem is that when he's so plug-and-play, that allows for him to easily be deferred. And I think right now, because he's still him, and D-Book is the man on this team, and I know KD's whole attitude is, I just want to run with the best hoopers. And I respect that, because who doesn't? Like, who went and played pickup and picked the worser players just for the hell of it? Not I. I was trying to keep on the court and keep running. So I want to be with the dudes who can hoop. KD's just bringing that level to the National Basketball Association. Same shit. Anyway, so KD can sometimes be deferred. And because this offense is a lot of D-Book and a lot of the point fraud in the two-man game with the point fraud and DeAndre Ayton, it's kind of a weird spot to just drop KD into. But KD is so nice with it that he could still find a way to get his off. You don't have to change too much of your offense to accommodate a guy like KD, right? So with all of that, how do we get this shot chart to be right? Like, let's go to KD's shot chart. We saw he took 12 threes. I keep going the wrong direction for the shot chart. Here we go. Shot chart. Phoenix, Kevin Durant. And this is what KD is. Because he could shoot anywhere. Any and everywhere. He's spraying shots, dog. The ones in the front just weren't falling. He was giving you the corner. He was giving you baseline. He was giving you wings. He was really killing on the right block. He was even able to get to the cup. But it was the top. The top of the key threes. The top of the key and the elbow, they were bad. The shots just didn't fall. Is it high altitude? It's always a factor. It's always played up in losses, but I don't know. I won't jump out the window and say it's tied to that. But ultimately, Kevin Durant missed shots that he probably feels I normally make half of these. I don't miss all of these. I make about half of these. And if he makes half of those, therein lies the difference in the game. So while I think the Nuggets are actually still going to win this series, and there's some people now that are jumping with the narrative, especially if the point fraud is out for a significant amount of time. They're saying Nuggets in 5, so on and so forth. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. I think the Suns are going to get at least one game at the crib. They can certainly get 2, obviously, but I think they definitely get 1 at the crib. But with this playoff, I mean, who thought the Bucks were going to get run out the damn gym? I mean, it's kind of hard to predict, but I'll tell you what, though. Just like how we looked at the the Celtics and the Sixers as whoever wins this series comes out the East. I have the feeling that this Lakers-Warrior thing, does that tip off tonight? I think Lakers-Warriors tips off tonight. Let's see. Of course, they're not going to show it. Okay, whatever. I think the Lakers-Warriors thing, yeah, that tips off tonight, 10 o'clock. Okay, cool. I think the winner of that, I think both teams feel like if they could just get past each other, they're going to the finals. I think both of these teams feel confident they could beat Denver. If it's Phoenix, that might be a different story. But I think if things hold firm and the Nuggets capitalize on this 2-0 lead and do take out the Phoenix Suns, I think both the Lakers and the Warriors feel like, okay, whoever comes out of this is probably going to represent the West in the finals. And that's going to be hella fun to watch. This series, to me, is going to be one of them ones. I will definitely be staying up. It's going to be hella late, but I will be staying up to make that happen, to be a part of it. But, you know, I just think ultimately I feel as though whoever comes out between Lakers and Warriors is going to beat whoever comes out of Phoenix, Denver. I mean, I've been transparent with y'all. I got bread on the Lake Show, and I've had it since the beginning of the year. So pretty good value for your boy if they could just make it out the West. They don't even have to win the chip. I didn't bet them to win the chip. I just felt like they could come out the West. So we'll see. We shall see. Thomas, Lakers and Warriors should be a good series. I'll even go higher, Thomas. I think it's going to be a great series. Now, again, barring no injuries, like AD falls down and goes boom, we know that the series is over. If, you know, Steph rolls an ankle, we know the series is over. If the foot flares up for Bron, that will certainly mean the series is over. But if the main participants, the main superstars can stay healthy, yeah, this is going to be one of them ones. It's going to be worth staying up late. Thomas, you never know. That's why they play the game. It's hard to predict. Yeah, it's hard to predict, but I think, you know, once we watched, look, Thomas and you and I both know, you watch as many games as we have. I mean, sometimes you just pick up on stuff and it's like, oh, okay, this is probably what's likely to happen, right? And I think once we're looking at Lakers and Warriors, after as much basketball as I've watched, I think whoever comes out of this series is going to represent the West in the finals. Just like whoever comes out of the Boston-Philly series is going to represent the East in the finals. So I'm here for it. You know, there are some things that I did want to check the timeline on real quick. Let me just pull this up. Appreciate those who are checking this out. I know it's not the heavy NFL stuff, but to be quite honest, there really isn't that much to discuss in regards to football. I did release a clip of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs owner, Clark Hunt, saying that Patrick Mahomes is underpaid. And I think that is something that should be spoken a lot, way more than it's being talked about. When have we ever seen a NFL owner come out and say, yeah, this guy will forever be underpaid? Like forever. You just signed this man to a 10-year, $450 million contract. Yet you're telling everyone, yeah, but he'll always be underpaid. And that means you should have gave him more money, at least more guaranteed money. You only gave that man 141 guaranteed. You know what? Let's not play the game. So the biggest thing in the NFL today is a whole bunch of guys getting their fifth-year options declined. I don't find that to be that interesting, but I can give you some of the names if you just want to roll through. Just give you a little bit of NFL. Austin Jackson, you know. We've got some nonsense about Garrett Wilson. It's pretty similar to Devontae Adams. I'm sure Adams out there with Jimmy Garoppolo feels great about hearing that. Vikings are declining the fifth-year option on Jalen Reagor. Like I'm saying, it's not that much going on, bro, in terms of NFL. You know, the explosiveness in and out of breaks is pretty similar. I mean, come on, dogs. Mekhi Becton has his 5th-year option declined. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not really a lot here to focus on, but I understand why, everyone's just Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets his 5th-year option declined. Again, not that surprising once you really take a look at it. This could be interesting where in terms of the Lions had discussed a contract extension with Jared Goff. I don't know why they would do that. Didn't they draft a quarterback? But, it is what it is. So not that much there in regards to that. But the big story today is, for those who are just pulling up, the Shanghai Sharks, could they be in the mix for Dillon Brooks? Because the Memphis Grizzlies damn sure are not. They are not interested in bringing back Dillon Brooks. He has talked his way. He has fake thugged his way out of a gig. Will he now have to go to China to hoop? Will he have to join the likes of Stephon Marbury, who is right up there with Yao Ming in terms of being Himothy in China? Has it come to that for Dillon Brooks? Has the bootleg Stone Cold talked his way out of a career in the National Basketball Association? I implore y'all to read this story because we talked about it earlier, and I won't keep y'all too much longer. We're just going to do an hour today. I got some things to do this evening. But in regards to Dillon Brooks, look, man said his role was to be a 3-and-D. And I broke it down here how that is laughable because he is neither 3 nor D. Pause. So Dillon Brooks might be on his way to Shanghai to play for the Shanghai Sharks. It was trending on the Elon app on Twitter. Everyone was getting their memes off, and it was a hilarious time on the timeline. So that's why I had to bring it here for y'all on Timeline T. But that will do it for me today because it's going to keep it an hour. I appreciate those who were able to pull up. If you haven't had a chance to check out some of the clips, be sure to do that. We got one that just dropped not that long ago, maybe an hour or so ago, on Patrick Mahomes being called underpaid by his own owner. Said there's no amount of money we could give him, he'll still be underpaid. There's no way that we could quantify and, fix this financially, which they could because, they could always give him fully guaranteed money. But anyway, I did a little clip on that because we talked about that on the stream. Also, there is the Jalen Hurts contract information. We talked about that here. There's a clip on that. Then there's the whole Lamar Jackson saga. If you want to tap in, if you haven't been privy to that, there's a lot of stuff in regards to that. So I will bid y'all a early dismissal. We did about an hour today, but did a podcast last night, did a live stream on Monday, another live stream today, doing radio on ESPN Radio tomorrow on Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know why I always say Tennessee, Chattanooga. Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'll be on ESPN Radio at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 12 Central. You can catch me on that. If you want to get that information, I will have that on the Elon app, which is Twitter, at TheSamD. You see that in the upper corner. So for all my information in regards to that, you can check that or check the YouTube description. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. If you haven't got a chance to subscribe, I appreciate if you would do that. We're building a sense of community here. We're having some good information, good discussion in the chat. As you see, Thomas held it down in the chat. So this is how we do it. I will catch y'all tomorrow for more Timeline T. So for the Sam D, I'm Sam Duzme Jr. Peace.